All right, so let's begin. Um, some of you guys just simply don't know who you are and who God is. How God is not dead, and God, or Christ, Jesus Christ, is you. If you are a white man, you are God. And you know this is true because, first of all, these minorities have no business using this Bible at all, and then having the audacity to be preaching from a pulpit while we, the girls and the women that are mixed breeds, hybrids, we're hybrids coming from our German grandfathers who basically they were disrespected. These minorities that were integrated with they were integrated with whites and others, whatever. Same way, like much like how these Mexicans that illegally came back into the United States, even after being deported, they came here and did the same play that the minorities did. What the minorities did is the same thing that the Mexicans did. They raped somebody's daughter, and then they steal the child using family courts. And that's how they're able to traffic us, and then they basically get us involved in the criminal justice system by us being arrested and incarcerated on the behalf of prostitution. In my case, it was for solicitation by a black officer who was tied to some pimps out in California, and the solicitation I got brought in and detained because I was on my way to go look for a nail salon. I was working at Olive Garden at the time, and I figured if I went to go get my nails done, my tips would get better. But because I had 2 condoms in my purse, and I had my little zipper pouch that they give us from our job, in this regard, the Olive Gardens, they give you like a zipper pouch to put your tips into. So because I had hand sanitizer, 2 condoms, and in my zipper pouch of money, and he, the black officer, pulled me over while I'm walking in San Jose looking for this nail salon. And he says he accused me of being a solicitor. He called somebody, and I'm going to assume it was the pimp who later ended up trafficking me after I had gotten influxed into the criminal justice system. Basically, he's the one who recruited me on behalf of this pimp, this black pimp, who had been released from prison. He just did like an 8-year term in prison for pimping and pandering of a 14-year-old. So here he is having a black officer basically influx me into the criminal justice system. And from there, I lost my job at Olive Garden. And then I had to keep returning to the courthouse because they kept on rescheduling the hearing date rather than just proceeding to, pursue charges. But that's the whole point. They do that. And by they, I'm meaning the criminal enterprise within the institutional governmental powers. So those positions of which, family court, CPS, the criminal justice, and just all of that, the inner workings of the institution. Basically, the people from society are hired and employed. And because they're working with these criminals, that's how that works, is basically one hand washes the other. Black officer accusing me of solicitation because of the contents of my purse, in which his searching of my purse was illegal. I did eventually get the charge dropped, but by that time it was too late because I had like a bench warrant put out on me because they kept wanting me to return to the courthouse. I got tired of that. It's like keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Well, because of the connection to the black officer and then me going through the courthouse and how he was basically released by the time he was released, the pimp who ended up trafficking me, he probably was able to have connections and ties to the piece of shit kidnappers of me when I was a child. I was taken from my home. I'm a product of rape. So too is my daughter. I had a product of rape. Like I said, the integration with minorities is like parallel to the Mexicans, how they illegally entered into the United States and then they rape someone who's vulnerable. In my case, I was very vulnerable because I was alienated from my white side of the family. My grandfather had told this piece of shit who kidnapped me from my home that he did not want him in his family. And because there's no respect for my German grandfather, there was no respect for this man. The minority male felt entitled to rape, felt entitled to abuse, tried to do attempted murder, cut phone cords so that she couldn't call the police, rear-ended her. She went through a car windshield. She was pregnant with me. He choked her and she passed out from asphyxiation, punching her in her face while she's holding her youngest son while she was pregnant with me. So all this abusive shit that's going on prior to me even being born. Now, when I was born, I didn't know that I had a missing relative. He was not even a factor. How would I have ever known that I was missing a father if I didn't? I knew nothing about the concept of a father. I had my grandfather, my grandpa, who was absolutely amazing, and I didn't see through the lens of black and white. I was not told or taught about me being a colored girl. I was loved, safe, well kept. I wanted for nothing. I had everything that I needed, desired, and then some. And then on top of that, I had my amazing, marvelous grandfather, who is the German, who is white. But again, I was colorblind. So anyways, I was kidnapped from my home, alienated from the family, the white side, the German side that cared. He, the kidnapper, he was on his third marriage. He loves white women, I guess, but he's abusive as shit. He's abusive to children, and he's abusive to his alleged wives. He's a Christian minister, even though he himself was made outside of the confines of marriage, in which his father, the one who kidnapped me, my alleged, sperm donor, whatever, the rapist, his father had him, the minister who kidnapped me, had him outside of the confines of his marriage. This, of course, is a violation against Christian values. So the one who kidnapped me, the minister, the false prophet on his third marriage to a white woman, him, his wife, and the children between him and her and him, so a blended family. I was abused by everybody in that whole scam of a family. There was no family. There was no family. There was just abusers and the infiltrators. Now, infiltrators means these are black families that are marrying to whites while simultaneously trafficking the whites' children or grandchildren that were improperly, disrespectfully, and on behalf of genocide and rape created. We were created without the honor of our father, our grandfather. So here it is that my grandfather was able to raise all of his children, his wife being a housewife, so my grandmother, housewife, a stay-at-home mother, and that is how that goes. That was the custom and culture and heritage that I'm coming from on that side. How they do things on my white side versus this criminal who was told no. He was not given the green light. So because these idiots, they don't know and they don't respect that of which is called culture, heritage, customs, traditions, they don't have respect for white men. Okay? They have no respect. And this excuse about racism is all a fucking myth. It's a lie. Okay? So, because my grandfather was able to take care of his whole family without the help of any social services, he didn't have to screw people over. He didn't own any slaves, and even if he did, whatever, he was not racist. He just called it as he seen it. This motherfucker was a piece of shit. And I know that he's a piece of shit because of what I went through. I was abused ritualistically, and I still am. Right now, as we speak, I'm still being abused. And this disgusting incorporation with criminals pisses me off. It is a hate crime, it's genocide, and it needs to be dealt with. So, because of this kidnapping by the criminal, by the black side, what was able to happen? I was able to become groomed, and I went through a lot of trials of abuse, and still am going through. Things like incest, okay, rape, physical abuse, nearly drowning, being starved, not allowed to speak or connect or have a relation with my white side of the family, basically having to adopt and adapt to an identity of which was forced onto me. So I was not allowed, or I was basically brainwashed to just go, okay, I'm black, and taught all of these insecurities that were projected onto me because of this trash, this hypocrite, this false prophet, this infidel, this cheater, this whore, this rapist, womanizer, violent, okay, child abuser, negligent, evil, selfish, greedy, sellout, coward, loser, demon. Anyways, so every form of abuse that you could imagine, sleep deprivation, physical abuse, enslaved, I had to clean, and while everyone else got to have birthdays and Christmas and all that, I never did. Like I said, no relationship was I able to maintain with my white side of the family. I was abused if I were to basically, wanting to talk to them on the phone, or, I was wanting to return back home, of course, but because of that, I would be abused and told lies about my white side. They don't care about you, they don't love you, and it just lies. And the gifts of which my white side of the family would send to me, I was never allowed to enjoy those. They would take the money, they would basically mutilate or tear apart the toys. I remember there was a wishbone stuffed animal and stuff like that. They would never let me enjoy that of which my relatives had sent for me. They would break them apart and just tear my heart apart. I wasn't allowed to have anything of which my white side would send to me. I wasn't allowed to talk to them on the phone. We moved around a lot because they're traffickers. Same thing that is going on with my daughter. My daughter's not allowed to speak English. Because I was trafficked, like I was telling you about how I was influxed, or how there was a pathway or a pipeline to being trafficked, and it was through that black officer accusing me of solicitation. He had asked me how much for a blowjob, and from that day on, my life has, gotten worse, progressively worse. And basically, through the abuse of the kidnapper who, had to basically violate a woman to get me here, and violate as in could not honor my grandfather's sentiment on his rebuke against the union between his child and this motherfucker who stole me and gave me the most pitiful excuse of a fucking life. He gave me the most worthless excuse of a life. He is a fucking fraud. He's trash. He's no man of God. There ain't no church of God and Christ in him. He would make me recite a prayer that basically it's a curse. The prayer in itself is a fucking curse. Lord, we thank you for this food we're about to receive for the nourishment of our body. Sanctify, make a whole in these blessings we ask in your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen. God is love. That is bullshit. It's evil. He's that prayer that I just did quickly, it's basically trying to say, I am to be the martyr for these motherfuckers who stole me and raped me out of my bloodline. And here's the thing. You motherfuckers don't get the fucking goddamn entitlement, nor do you get any privilege, nor are you granted any more Christ on a cross. Hell to the no. 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 Okay, like I said, the white man, the heterosexual white man, is God. He has no business serving anybody in this fucking world. No. He was entitled to make children, not the rest of you. Clearly. That's why he had to go to family courts and do all this common law and all this governmental institutional bullshit. And while you're still doing this demonic ass shit, because you're pathetic, and you refuse to be held accountable, there ain't no refusal. You're going to be held accountable. And you will be exposed, and you're disgusting to me. Because you don't have no respect for God. All the while, the audacity to preach from a pulpit like you're qualified. You've been married how many times? Having children? By how many different women? And you can't raise none of them. You need taxpayers to have taxes withheld and taken from them. You're exploiting them, extorting them of resources to pay for children which you have no business making. And then the audacity to be claiming that white people are racist and how they need to fork over more money and resources, how you can be paid thousands of dollars to educate and enlighten the world on how to be, anti-racist. Huh. So what I was saying about this whole transfer thing, this infiltration, it's a swap. So on behalf of these Germans who were influxed treasonously, it's called a trespass. I do not forgive trespassing. No, I don't. Forgive the trespassers. We forgive those who trespass against us. Nope. None of that will be going on. There will be no forgiveness of trespassing. That's rape and it's genocide. And they need and deserve to be held accountable for it. Absolutely not. Because this whole thing where we're being trafficked and they're jumping over the heads of our fathers, our grandfathers, who blatantly told them no. But yet they want to be respected and having their wishes and talk about our women. We are not your women, nor are we your children, nor are you our people. You are a rapist. You are a trafficker. You are treasonous. You are pathetic. You're evil. You're a rat, a freeloader, a child abuser, a womanizer. Okay? You're violent. You try to intimidate and bully people. You're demonic. You're spiritually wicked, reprobate, a deceiver. And just honestly, you're a thief and a murderer. I could go on and on, but all in all, you're a criminal. and you deserve to be held accountable. So now, California, trafficked, this nonsense. I was on the run, so I had to get away from this pimp who basically tried to, just ridiculous. I was nearly murdered so many times while the folks try to cover things up, like the hospitals, HCMC, trying to cover shit up as if, oh, well, you tried to commit suicide and you're a threat to society. So, because if that is the case, I allegedly tried to kill myself, so I'm a threat to society. No, I would be a threat to myself, not to society, but if you insist, whatever. No, I was nearly murdered, sodomized in my own fucking apartment. I had a baby because I was being trafficked. I had been raped so many times. I've had several fucking abortions because minorities just don't understand how to keep their penis and their pants to themselves. Meanwhile, they're exploiting and extorting taxpayers and disrespecting God, which is the white man. Now, the issue that I have in this day and age is this swap, whereas you have it to where minority females are basically marrying white men, but they're telling white men to basically bow down to minority males, give them jobs, help them out, give them loans, do this. No. If you could not stay with black males on your side, how dare you go over and be married to white men telling God that he needs to accept someone and give all these opportunities to this one who I don't want to be around because they're evil, they're abusive, they are liars, and no, I'm not going to turn my voice down because folks can't accept the truth. Now, here's the thing. Minority females already outed themselves because, like I said, you cannot be married to a white man talking about, well, the police murdering black people, minorities. You don't say nothing about the females. You care more about these males. Why? But you're married to a white man, so you're disrespectful to your spouse. Trying to tell your spouse that he needs to humble himself, bow himself down, and be siphoned, robbed of more resources, taking food out of his family, his community's mouths to take care of the males, which are having children irresponsibly. These children of which they cannot afford to be making. You have no right to be making these children. And we know this because our hair being nappy, we require more resources, but yet your asses are broke and you're poor. And you're talking about, oh, white people had a head start in slavery and chattel slavery. You want to talk about chattel slavery? Chattel slavery in the United States started on behalf of the violation against white Christians. Now, the thing is that Christianity is basically just a branch of Islam. It's an Abrahamic religion, which is I'm not an activist for that. I'm not pro Abrahamic religion. I'm pro no religion. Because on behalf of this Abrahamic religion, all of this false patriarchy, it's a false, a pseudo. It's not even a patriarchy. It's just degeneracy and criminality in which, with the real patriarchy, which is like what my grandfather is about and was about, is the men are the breadwinners, yes. The women, her domain, her, shall we say, her kingdom or queendom is at home. She is not obligated to be a slave for any corporation. She is, if you want to call it such, yes, she's of service and she submits to her husband. That is a real patriarchy. This is not. This fake ass shit that we got going on because of these motherfuckers who don't measure up. They don't measure up to God. They're nothing like God. And they want to call it white supremacy. Yes, because they're superior. White men are superior. White men are superior. But see, this issue that has been going on is folks wanting to basically brainwash white boys so that, he basically thinks little less and has nothing. He don't want nothing to do with black women. But funny, interesting, because he still ends up with black women sometimes. But which black women is he ending up with? The very ones that are connected to these traffickers that took these German, the children of the German men who are the real patriarchal fathers, the ones that were intermixed illegally on the basis of dishonoring the father. They went to a courtroom to ask a stranger for permission to marry, for permission to steal children, for permission to do this, to do that. And because of that foot in the door, basically, whereas these females that have sold out on behalf of these losers that were not granted permission and they were not given the blessings to be creating us. They were not entitled to make us. Okay? The best man is to do the job. Not because this bullshit mythology, this ideology that deserves to perish, and it is going to perish. So because you're the old prototype of what white men used to look like. White men are black men. They're just older. And people want to talk about the youngest. All right, on the basis of what? Evolution? Okay? He's a new version of his old self. So when you're talking about all these fabulous monuments, all these fabulous architectural structures in Africa and in Egypt and all this, wonder why, I wonder why the greatness, it was great at one point in period of time and then it just went somewhere. We don't see the consistency, but you do see the consistency where? In European populations and demographics. So take a look at Germany. A consistent, how they invent, what they create, what they've contributed. Most everything that we are in connection with, honestly, majority of it came on the behalf of Germans or a European demographic. Okay? So Italians, Germans, yes. And then you want to talk about the whole thing about Holocaust and all this and that. What opened up Pandora's box for all of this slavery, and why on earth are blacks nowadays talking about reparations, or have been for however long? They are not entitled to reparations, and the only ones who would be entitled to reparations would be the women, but the women would only be able to get reparation through marriage. And through that marriage, there's not an ad lib of you need to accept and bow down and tolerate and condone that of which I've left because they could not provide to me what is required for me to be made whole. That's the same thing going on with you when you want to talk about Holocaust and stuff. People get real finicky and real sensitive when it comes to these matters. But you have to take into consideration how many people had to join an alliance to go up against basically Germany and like certain branches of Italian, right? And then some allies started flipping at some point in time. The only ones that were basically trying to protect black women have always been the ones that are constantly thrown under the bus. And the whole damn world does a disservice by putting behind bars, incarcerating, murdering, nailing to the cross over and fucking over again the only ones that have ever done right by African women. See, the tradition is the best man for the job. Evolution said that the original prototype of black man needed to be evolved. Something needed to be corrected and adjusted to adapt to this environment. And basically, nature said that that was white. So he went from black to white. This misconception that we made them. No, no, no. He made us. And in a lot of occasions, you could take that variable away because of this social engineering, brainwashing, and disrespect for God. What do I mean? Is females that have helped to keep this ideology of racism rampant. That in which she's able to, many different females of certain archetypes from different ethnic demographics and such, have been able to introduce a fictitious ideology that basically blasphemes against black women, or you could say whatever, or hybrids in our cases, or multi-generational mixed, whatever. We the ones who were roped in unrighteously on behalf of a violation against the father, the patriarchal father, being the Germans, for me, his honor was dishonored. He, being someone who was able to care for his family, his wife, stay-at-home mother, stay-at-home wife, we end up trafficked, deemed as prostitutes, basically ostracized, patronized, criminalized, demonized, and went going through smear campaigns and all types of defamation and theft, and then basically wanting to gag us so that we don't talk, and then the converting of people's minds, basically going, she's crazy, dumb black girl. But who's the one who has made us out to be these ugly, dumb black nigger bitches? Who's the one? Take a look at your rap and R&B artists and all the industry. What are they saying? What is the music saying? Who is the ones that are saying these terrible things about women, berating women, talking about pimping us? We pimping, nigga. Who's the one who's doing that? Is it God? No, it's not. You know who they are. Go listen to the music and you tell me who it is. And they need to be held accountable for that. Same thing with those who have filed lawsuits for, alleged discrimination. Petitioning for discrimination. Oh, they said the N-word and this. For those minorities who were paid on the behalf of alleged discrimination claims, that needs to be resolved and amended, because you're saying to God, who was white men, you're saying to him that he can't use his own word. He's entitled to use it more so than us. We belong to him, not the other way around. Evolution says there was a better father, and he was able to evolve into white. So it's beyond me why this shit can happen. My life ruined and destroyed. My daughter, nobody gives a fuck about her. This motherfucker who came here after being deported in 2006, able to rape me, able to rape a 13-year-old, doing statutory rape, never held accountable for it, leaving 2 children to be raised by a 13-year-old with no help, can come over here and steal my baby with not so much as any DNA paternity testing, no social security number. I didn't put him down on the birth certificate. How can there be a establishment of parentage? All this shit's illegal. And these motherfuckers gonna want to just wipe their hands and continue to sacrifice women and girls and men? No. We belong to God. And if you want to, I guess, be with this one who I don't like being around, you don't get to abuse me my whole damn life and abuse my child and use family court so that you can traffic and abuse us and think that, oh no, that I'm just going to lay down my life and be a martyr for cowards who abuse me and pimp me out and whore me out? Gang rapes at fucking 13, 14 years old? Absolutely not. Fucking, and then again, these infiltrators into these institutional governmental positions, society being hired, affirmative action, how they were able to have it to where you need to have quotas in order, so you got to have a percentage that are female, you got to have a percentage that are people of color. Yeah, so that those criminals could go in there and do all sorts of bullshit with the documents, do all sorts of nonsense to alter everybody's perception about different individuals in the society. So they trying to cover up the rape that this illegal immigrant who don't even speak no damn English, and he was able to run off and go into hiding with my child. My child's not allowed to speak English, so then she's not able to communicate effectively what's going on. This issue, whereas he can come back into this country, not only rape me, but then doesn't have to tell me where my own child is, but yet no paternity testing done, no social security number. You can't be recognized as a parent if you don't have a social security number. And furthermore, I, of course, was never married to him. He's a fucking rapist. Don't know. Because the shit that was going on, you've been raping me. I've had to murder through abortion many of my children on behalf of these ones who can't keep their penises in their pants. But yet they're going to want to pretend like they're abiding by the law, like they're fucking religious people, or able to be Christians and beacons of light and delivering the Lord's message. No, they are not. They're evil. They're demons. I want them away from me. I don't like being around them. My child ain't fucking safe. And bitch, you got me fucked up. Where's the respect for God? So you feel entitled to murdering us and raping us and trafficking us, changing our identities so that your females, these females that are attached to these traffickers, your females can marry white men and tell him, which is God, by the way, tell God, hey, accept these ones, accept our idols, accept these ones, lowercase g. They're not even a lowercase g of a God. They don't respect my God. But yet they want to rip God off, have it to where God is serving them. For what? To do a job that he does better? So that he can take care of and babysit failures of men and women? Pay God with respect. Pay him back. You've been ripping him off, murdering him, raping his women, making his children. He don't need you to make them. If we don't want to be around you, we should not have to be around you. This forced inclusivity is abuse. It's a violation of my boundaries. It's a violation of my rights. And it's a violation of nature. Just because you're the prototype looking one doesn't mean shit. It's up to us women. We get to say. And we're not having any orgasms. And we're not consenting. We have not been. We've been getting raped. This ain't no deceiving. You ate from the tree and for this you're cursed. No, that was just a way for and able to take advantage of God and all God's children and all God's women, taking advantage of and enslaving us. These motherfuckers are not due to reparation. And like I said, the only one who might be qualified is the woman. But she's not entitled to be having it to telling God, you have to accept and take care of that one who could not. You don't measure up to him. He does not have to be humbled. You guys need to be humbled. You need to get your evil asses out of my fucking life and leave my fucking daughter alone. You owe respect to God. That's who we want. It's not up to you what you guys want. You don't get to say our women. We are not your women. You couldn't absolve 500 plus years of slavery. But yet you can go play football and tackle people and doing all that shit. So you're going to lie and say that, oh, we couldn't do anything about it. And he was raping our women. No, you were raping the women. Why are there so many black children being created Can't nobody force you to rape these women. If you really wanted to absolve that slavery, you would have, but you didn't. And the reason why that chattel slavery was entitled to happen was because of the kidnapping of those millions of white Christians, and they were raped, both the male and the female. And then the offspring from that kidnapping, the North Africans kidnapped all those whites. That's what opened up Pandora's box, and rightfully so, because the white Christians did nothing to the three powerhouses, that pyramid. Hove. Why does he use the big pimpin' song is coming out of Egypt? They sued and they won their case, the lawsuit, because whatever, saying, well, he used it from a song that is an Egyptian song. Look it up. So that Hove, when he's throwing that up, and it's three, that's a pyramid, 1, 2, 3. One side here, and then the bottom. So the three powerhouse was North Africa, Egypt, and Spain. Now, those three powerhouses they ran the show, and they are Abrahamic religion, Islam. All right. I'm not for Islam. I'm not for Abrahamic nothing. My thing is common sense. But nobody wants to respect the living God. Everybody from the Hindus and all these religions, of which the males are not qualified, and the males or the females are not qualified to be inducing people into their religious or spiritual custom. Because for one, those are not what our bodies are naturally selecting. So why on earth are they going to be doing guru bullshit that can clear people's karma and doing all this, whatever? And you want to talk about the swastika, that's where the symbol comes from. That swastika sign that Hitler used for Germany, that's coming from a Hindu. They're the ones that were doing the idol worshiping and all that nonsense. And that's also where the footstool thing, basically saying the earth is the footstool. Earth being Virgin, Virgo being females too. Saying that we, the females, are footstools. We're footstools for males that we don't want, that we're not attracted to, that we are not aroused by. So then when you go and look around the world, what are the customs around the world? Certain males might be okay, but they're not at the level of God. But because of their ego, they're not willing to humble themselves for God. But everybody is wanting to humble God, have God being humble, so that their egos can feel good, while God is being murdered by a piece of shit that's here illegally. Being murdered by drunk drivers that are here illegally. It's up to us. If we want to recognize our God as God, that's our right. Who are the males to be saying anything about anything? They're not even relevant. It's us. We're the ones with the wombs, not them. But that's why I guess maybe they're trying to make it so that males can go through childbirth, which is wow. It's that says enough right there. The disrespect. And let's not even get, most of us, like I said, are created on behalf of rape. I honestly, I'm willing to be crazy enough to say 99% of us in this world are created from trespass. Stop forgiving people for trespasses. I'm not accepting this notion. That's why this being used is absolutely insane by minorities. It's insane because the disrespect. Leprosy, white skin is not a disease. It's called evolution. It's when a lack of pigmentation, it's a mutation based on natural forces and the elements. I like him how he is. He doesn't need to change. It's the world that needs to change. And no, we're not entitled to being martyred. Neither is he entitled to being martyred, because you guys cannot come to your senses and find some damn respect. You're okay with forever leeching off of my people and then bitching and moaning about shit of which you're not entitled to really bitch and moan about. Okay? As for the Holocaust, let's get there. Why did the Holocaust happen? Because the disrespect and the misusage of religion. When using God as a means to exploit people by saying chosen people. And the Jews do not recognize Christ as God, which even if it did or did not occur, why would they be okay with recognizing Yahweh, who is a rapist? But they're not okay with recognizing Christ, who actually had respect and advocated for women. Advocating for her to be treated like a human being is a problem. But not for Jews. I'm not talking about the Christian Jews. The Christian Jews, Christian, Islam, Abrahamic, no, because it's misogyny and it's disrespectful towards women. All these religions, even Catholicism, it's disrespectful to men and it's disrespectful to women. All these religions are disrespectful, and the living God, which is white men, has a right to live, to make his own family, to take care of his own family. And this world felt that they were more qualified and worthy of being taken care of than his own family. He's not to be serving. If anything, people are entitled to serve him and respect him, but nothing less than that. If you can't serve and respect him, then you're not entitled to being a participant in his existence. Because I said so. Because he deserves better than this. Nobody deserves to be able to take advantage of him. He's not entitled to being martyred. Our children are being raped and trafficked. We are being raped and trafficked. Our mothers are being raped and trafficked. And it ain't by white men, which is God. He's due to more than an apology. Why he's serving people that don't have no respect is beyond me. He shouldn't be, though. His job was to make the children. He was the qualified one to make the children. Now, if women want to really be with something other than God, I guess that's their prerogative, but not for me. I'm tired of these demons that are violating my boundaries without any consequence. I should not have to be forced to doing this multicultural inclusivity with people who are accustomed and feel entitled to faithfully abuse me without penalty. This is a no for me. I don't want to be around people who abuse me and raped me out of my bloodline and stole me from my family. No. If the Jews believe that they believe the Yahweh is their God, even though he's a rapist, even though he makes the grandchildren of the transgressors pay for the sins of the transgressors. No, the one who does the transgression is who's to be accountable. But this Yahweh, basically, is what the Jews wanted to basically see as their... This Yahweh is a black God. No. No. And this black God is exploiting the white Jews, basically, keeping them white. They have to pay bribes. No. It's a no. So here's how this goes. Women, if they want to be with God, that is their right that nobody should be depriving them of. You are not entitled to a gravy train just because you're a certain color with a phallus. No. God didn't need help to raise his family, but you do. If you got enslaved, it's because you kidnapping those white Christians. They did nothing to you to deserve that. That's too damn bad. You want to oppress me with your little demon spirits and your little witchcraft wizardry and coming up with devices and weaponry in order to fucking violate my boundaries goes to show how pathetic and how fucking guilty you are. I will not just lay down my life. Get the fuck out of my life and stop accusing God. Stop abusing God. Stop stealing from God and leave me alone. Leave him alone. He should not have to humble himself. I don't want nothing to do with you guys. And I have a right to saying that. And I have a right to that being honored. You guys are fucking embarrassing that you feel that you're entitled to impose your fucking will. You're not qualified to do so. If you could not absolve yourself as a man from the Holocaust, those ain't even your women. Those Jews should have went to another team. Whoever was able to save them, that's who is recognized as God. In this case, it would have been America, UK, Britain, and whoever else helped to get them out of those concentration camps. The point there was that this God of which they believe in, why would they believe in? Because he did not save them. The people who saved them look a lot different than the ones that they're bowing down to, in which they're basically saying this land is ours because God gave it to us. We're God's chosen people. That is a lie. This is a lie. Furthermore, all the rape that's going on under Yahweh, because he's a rapist himself. He made what was once upon a time white women, changing them into colored women, and then basically those colored women becoming ugly. And the whole world doesn't even recognize. That's why when Disney is putting in those movies, there's no mother there. Nobody ever notices that the mother's missing. Exactly. Because the lack of respect. Nobody ever notices this until you point it out. How could we be seen as the ugly one, but you're rich, berating us, calling us pimps and hoes? That's something to be indicted for. You're promoting something which is a crime, in which we're being arrested as the prostitutes, but your ass gets to roam around freely, intimidating and making our lives a misery. We don't want to be around you. You're not the better man. You're not better than God. Where's the respect? You're not equal to him neither. You didn't make him. He is the owner over all of us. According to evolution. Stop trying to say he's the younger one. No, he's the oldest one.